Yeah.
I thought we were already live. They brought it back, and I have to click live. I'm gonna read your citation again so that the world will understand that, please.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
yes, I'm gonna. Yeah. Hey, listeners from within Nigeria, across Africa, and around the world, we are here today at ONN with a very, 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 very important global personality originated from Nigeria. Her influence spread over Africa and here in the United States and around the world. She's no other person than Dr. Uwa Onyioha Osimiri. She's so many things that I'm going to have to read to you. I cannot say it all, but she has a huge, huge, powerful resume that you want to hear and then get inspired as we progress in this whole thing. So, permit me to read a citation about her so that we can get going. And then she's going to be telling us, driving this process that we are in today. And I start again. And this is it. It's a woman who has dedicated her life to uplifting communities and motivating businesses. All right. Her name is Her Excellency Chief Dr. Uwa Onyioha Osimiri, the founder and president of African Women Mobilization Commission, a non-profit organization mobilizing women and girls to become leaders through training, conferencing, and global engagement and STEM education. Dr. Oshimiri is the spiritual leader of Chiism International and holds 6 Nigerian Chieftaincy titles. She has been featured in the Detroit News as one of Michigan's most influential women, Atlanta's own Voyage Magazine, and many other publications. Using her unique experience as a Nigerian woman and a survivor of the trauma of war and sexual assault, she has lectured at Wayne University, Oakland University, Michigan State University, University of Phoenix, Emory University, and countless secondary and grammar schools. Dr. Oshimiri as Dr. Oshimiri's end of a doctoral degree in physics or natural theology and doctoral research in clinical psychology has granted her knowledge and experience to help others dive deep into the struggle of the mind and bring out the average person's full potential. Dr. Oshimiri, straight from the heart, passion, and high energy inspires listeners to move past their constraints and into prominence in many ways. Dr. Oshimiri is both a keynote speaker and trainer, generating the kind of training and learning that transforms lives. Her charm, enthusiasm, and wit have changed regular people into exceptional successes by employing her personal life and her in depth examination of others' trials to develop an insight into what produces results, doesn't work, and why. She has conducted women empowerment workshops, including Chrysler Corporation in Rochester Hills, Michigan, Women of the Power Conference, and many others. Dr. Oshimiri has made it a mission to not only inspire others in business and life, but also to bring to light world events and how we can change them by changing ourselves. A survivor of the trauma in the Nigerian Biafran War, she motivates people on how to prevail over pain, suffering, challenges, and obstacles. The title of our motivational program is You Are Not Bound by Yesterday. On forward. Dr. Oshimiri has earned numerous awards for her work in business and education. She received an educational citation, a friend of education, Michigan, several Spirit of Detroit and Wayne County certificates of recognition. She was nominated Faculty of the Year at the University of Phoenix, where she is an advanced certified faculty in the Department of Business Administration, teaching MBA courses in leadership and organizational behavior, and a certified senior grant writer. She has served on the advisory board for the Women's Federation for World Peace and was a member of the Emerging Minority Business Council of the state of Michigan. She received a certificate of tribute from former Governor Jennifer Granholm for her work with the Governor's Small Business Initiative. In 2019, she was appointed Ambassador for Women Affairs to the United States for Abia, Nigeria, by Governor Okezia Ikpeazu, a position she held for a year and a half. She's the host of two podcasts, the Ndomado Show and Chiism Live. Welcome, Dr. Osimiri.
Thank you so very much. Sometimes I don't even know that I accumulated all that. All
Yes,
those.
you are a handful.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm very honored to be here. And if you don't mind, as is traditional with me, I always
Yes.
have to give thanks to Chineke for this wonderful opportunity called today, and obviously honor my mother, Ngozi Noha, Ngozi Onyioha, my father, Ahankelko Onyioha. Some of you may know him. He's the founder of the Godian religion. And also want to give thanks to my ancestors for the opportunity to be here. Without them, I would not be here. So I am very honored to be here, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Now, let's start. What inspired you to start this initiative that you lead for African women?
Well, in 2002, I had an opportunity to travel to represent my father in Nairobi, Kenya, the first international conference of African and world religious leaders. And the focus was on HIV/AIDS and its impact on children. That was my first running in learning about HIV in depth. It was there that I met thousands of people impacted by HIV, hundreds of college students dying of HIV/AIDS, children eating off trash because they've lost their parents in Kibera in Kenya. And I was that delegate with it. It was by the United Nations Council for Religions for World Peace, WCRP. So I went as a delegate. And it was there that we met one particular guy that really, I mean, in addition to all that we were told about HIV/AIDS, one little boy, his name was Salim Yassin, really motivated me. He was quite tiny. He was just 7 years old, and they put him on the dais. And he looked around. I had a green and white outfit on, and he zeroed in on me. And he asked me, "Why, Mama? Why should my fate be death? Why should I die? Look at all these people here. You're here enjoying yourselves, and you will go. Then after you go, then what? We will still be here, and we will die. Mama, you do something." Well, I dare say that in addition to everything we had to learn there, that one boy got to me. When I came back to Michigan, I decided to form a group. And that's a group of women who are successful in business so that we can work together to put money to take care of these children, orphan children, particularly those in Africa. I mean, there are orphan children everywhere, but obviously as a Nigerian, I was interested in what we can do for Nigerian people. So after a while, my focus at that time was on orphan children, but it became saturated. Funding was scarce for orphan care. So we started something different, and that is to incorporate the care of women. And that's how African Women Mobilization Commission started. What we're doing, what we're trying to do is make an impact. When I say impact, it's an M instead of an I. Mobilization. I believe very strongly that women have the positive opportunity to change their communities. All right. We have national directors in Nigeria. We have state directors. We have chapters. And by putting all these women together, we can do quite a bit of work. We're doing what we call the P in impact is philanthropy. We do a lot of philanthropic work. We feed people in the IDPS camps, and you know what the IDPS camps are. These are camps, people who are because of the effort, because of the effect of Boko Haram in Maiduguri. So you have thousands of people in these camps, and we help them. We help to feed them. We help to educate the children. We send the children to school, and some of those children, unfortunately, there was. You probably heard about the recent flooding in Maiduguri. So it impacted the schools there, it impacted the camps. So some of that was washed away. But we haven't given up. We were able to find some of those children, and we're still taking care of them. And then we're also advocates for human security, which, you know, food security, economic security, climate change security. Now, recently we have focused on sex trafficking. There are so many young girls who are sex trafficked. You know, a lot of them are you know, they're told that it's okay to travel abroad, and then you go abroad, you get out these jobs and what have you. Well, that's not what usually happens to them. They come abroad and they're trafficked. And then there are some of them that are trafficked by family. We have a particular girl that is such a moving story. 15 years old, she just turned 16, and she was trafficked by her grandmother, all right, because she couldn't afford food. So she's out there having sex with men for money, right? So you can imagine what that means. So what we did was I think we've lost you for a moment there. I wonder, so should I continue to speak?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hold on. I don't know what.
Okay. I don't see you anymore.
Okay, can you see me now?
No, I can't. It's probably the network. Uh, okay. Well, I'm not sure what's going on. Um, I'm going to have to leave and possibly come back.
No, I'm back. Can
Oh,
you hear
you're
me?
back. I can
Yes.
hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, I think somebody tried to call me from Nigeria. It knocked me out of here. Hold on. That's what I'm trying to. Yeah. Don't leave, you know. So I don't know why.
Okay, no trouble.
Yes. Hey, listeners, we are very sorry about this. I don't know what this means, but we're gonna get it back. Yes.
Well, I'm going to just continue speaking until you're able to join us.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Is
ahead
that
and
okay?
continue.
Okay. So, you know, I was speaking of the fact that we have self trafficking, which is a violation of human rights. And it's obvious that for those who don't know, it's exploiting individuals for commercial sex and coercion. You know, so it mainly affects women and children, and it's linked obviously to economic instability and gender inequality. So we're very much interested in helping girls who are trafficked, and that's what we're doing right now. All right, I was talking about the young girl who was taken away from, who was being trafficked in Maiduguri. No,
Yes.
actually, she's in Abuja, and we've taken her, we're putting her in school. She's very grateful that she's able to live that kind of life, which she was unfortunately forced to take. And there's so many such girls, so many. So the African Women Mobilization Commission is devoting much time to human security, of which sex trafficking is one of them. Also, we have a program called the Black Girls Rise. And this is to support young girls for personal hygiene. It's so sad that a lot of our young girls don't have access to what they need to manage their menstrual cycles. So we want to provide them with sanitary napkins. You know, one of the things that unfortunately the Nigerian government has not done is taken into consideration the needs of children in school, and that is to have toilets. You know, children have no toilets, particularly girls who are on their cycle. They have challenges using the bathroom, cleaning themselves. Those are the kind of things that we're trying to address. So that's part of our advocacy program. Then we have cultural awareness. I am a firm believer in culture because culture has three think tanks. Think tanks. One is culture in all its forms is good for the society because culture helps to bring in tourism. Most successful countries all over the world, they promote their culture. And we need to take advantage of that as well. Just as people don't come to Nigeria to see their own culture. They want to come to Nigeria and see our culture. So we need to make sure that we're capitalizing on that. That is a very important form of economic development. The artisans in the community should be able to take advantage of tourism. So we promote that. Then freedom of expression as an African people. I think it's imperative that Africans embrace all that they are, all right? Embrace everything that makes us African. And so I try to convey that to our people that looking African is a good thing. Acting African is a good thing. Thinking African is a good thing. That's who you are. That's how what God made you to be. Nothing else. Everything else is outside of what you're supposed to be. Yes, we live in a global world. Yes, we don't argue that. You can take some things and add to your repertoire. You can take some things and add to who you are, but you don't abandon who you are. So we try to promote that. And the other part is we create a culture of love and tolerance. One of the things that I make perfectly clear to our members is the fact that it doesn't matter if we're Yoruba, Hausa, Efik, Ibibi, or whatever, we are Nigerians. At the moment, that's who we are. And so we need to care about each other. We need to not allow our tribes to divide us or the diversity of our religions and all of that to keep us apart. So the culture of love and tolerance is very high on our agenda. And also we provide training. I'm very excited about this. Empowering girls in STEM. There's an African proverb that says, a one-legged man cannot go into battle. You need your men and you need your women. And together, when we work together, when we educate it together, we can create a formidable society. And that's why I, as a woman, I focus on empowering girls through STEM. And we're using the Joe Dome, we're Pleasant Valley LLC in the United States is constructing the domes. They are monolithic domes. It's called Joe Dome ILS for STEM housing. So we're taking children who are young women who are aging out of foster care, and we're putting them in this scientific environment so that they'll learn STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and they're just surrounded by science. That's our prototype here in Georgia. But we want to do the same thing in Nigeria, ultimately. That is what the African Women Economic Consortium is about. And we are in and be good.
Great, great. Wow, wow, wow. I don't know what to tell you for now, but you are receiving a lot of accolade from our viewers here. And Tabitha, good evening. Thank you very much. He said, Dr. Bola Tigman says, good afternoon. I said, it's a professor saying good afternoon to you. I don't know if you are seeing what I'm seeing on my stream. And he said, good to have you here, ma'am. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. And uh, one of them is calling you the amazing woman of God. But
Oh, bless his
I
heart.
don't know you a lot.
Bless her
So
heart.
many positive things, but I'm going to read a few of them so we can
Okay.
get going. And
Okay.
someone said, "Oh, Dr. Osimiri, please keep on speaking. You are speaking to my heart." And many
Oh,
others.
wonderful.
One said, I'm an American I visited Nigeria 2 times. I love Nigeria. Hey,
Oh,
Kathleen, thank
wonderful.
you very much for that word. I appreciate all of you who are tuning in. And if you are just joining, again, I passionately appeal because ONN is a global movement, and we are in tune with what Dr. Osimiri is doing. We love what she's doing, and if I tell you how we got to connect with each other, you'll be surprised. I never thought in my wildest imagination that I was going to see her. Just like was it last week or a couple
Two
of weeks
weeks
ago?
ago. 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was on Facebook. Something just popped up on my screen. I said, "Well, let me show interest in this." And then she was discussing one of those things that is central to what we do here. And I'm so happy we are going to collaborate with you on a big, on a big scale, to advance
Excellent.
the cause of your work
Excellent.
across Africa and everywhere. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much for being a part of what we do here. And I'm going to give you a follow-up question. You have said a lot about this, your initiative. This is commendable. And how does the partnership with Pleasant Valley LLC and Joe Dome ILS enhance the efforts of the African Women Mobilization Commission?
It's so interesting. Sometimes they say that Chineke connects the dots. Okay. I happen to have gone to an event in Washington, and I met a lady who was the president of Human Relief Organization. And she was from one of the South America, I believe it was. And she, after talking with me a little bit and listening to what my effort was towards helping, my people in my way, she said there was a gentleman that he wanted me to meet. She wanted me to meet, and his name was Joe Byers. And so I met this gentleman whose desire was to build this Joe Domes all over the world, but he didn't quite know exactly who to do that with, And so we started, talking about the possibility of using the construction of the Joe Domes to help girls, to teach them science. So it evolved from that. And then after a while, we took a break doing other things. And then finally, we came back again after we decided that we found a place that we can do the prototype, which is here in Georgia. So how we work together is that he constructs the dome. And these are monolithic, beautiful domes. They're very scientific and they're
Wow.
just gorgeous. And so they construct it, and then I bring in the program. That's the Empowering Girls Through STEM program. All right, that's and how are we funding it? They were so generous that because as you well know, the grant issues are so they're being cut everywhere, and most of these programs need grants. So, but their organization and with two other people, they formed the STEM She. They developed the STEM She coins, crypto coins that they use to fund the program, Empowering Black Girls with STEM. And then they also have the PVE coins that they use for the construction of the Joe Domes. So we merged together to fund both programs. So that's how it's being funded. And I'm very excited. We have a slot here in McDonough in Georgia. It's about 45 acres of land that we're going to be using to construct these monolithic domes. It should be quite exciting. And I'm looking forward to duplicating it in Nigeria.
Now, what informed your decision to use Georgia as a pilot program or to start this program?
Well, because I live in Georgia,
Oh,
that's number one. Yeah,
so
and
you
it's
are
going
you are
to
tribalistic, a little bit of different.
a little bit of it. Yeah, but anything that you want to do, first and foremost, you have to have a pilot. Okay, to
Absolutely.
make sure that everything works like it's supposed to be before you take it elsewhere. At least here we have access to more of the supplies and everything that's necessary to do the construction. And then after that's done, then we know exactly what's going to be needed to do in Nigeria. I think that the girls can benefit will benefit tremendously. Now, some people say to me, "What about the boys?" That the issue is that the girls are, for the most part, for the most part, girls are the ones who are very, very vulnerable. All right. And so we want to help them. But that's not to say that we're not incorporating programs that will help boys as well. But we want to start with the program for the girls. And then as we move along, we see parts of it that we can bring little boys into because they too need to be cared for.
Yes, you actually answered a question, a very critical question that is gaining momentum in Nigeria. That a lot of emphasis in recent time have been placed on empowering girls, women, to the detriment of young boys who they believe are becoming more vulnerable now. I think you and I will agree that boys are becoming more vulnerable, a lot vulnerable in Nigeria right now. Perhaps due to I don't know, due to the situation in that country, the economic condition in Nigeria is throwing a lot of boys somewhere.
What the economic situation in Nigeria obviously marks significant challenges for both boys and girls. You know, the high inflation, unemployment rates compounded by the volatility of oil prices. There's just so much going on. You know, these challenges, however, present opportunities for growth and development. We need to look at, and that's why I said earlier, when you talk about the we need to look at the children, all of them, the boys, the girls. The reason why it's lopsided is because for a long time, girls have been ignored. And a lot of the women who have climbed, you know, the academic ladder or social ladder see the need to pull up little girls, you know, and get them where they need to be, whereas in the past they had been ignored. So you have a lot of empathy for little girls as the women themselves are rising, okay? And also the understanding that it is important to have all citizens of Nigeria to be successful, including the
Absolutely.
girls, you know.
Absolutely.
So the lopsidedness is actually because the women are climbing a little bit more and seeing the need to do so. But I do agree that boys are being marginalized, but the government needs to step in. And men themselves have to create opportunities for young boys as well, just like the women are doing. You know, we need to pay attention. I think, unfortunately, we are not seeing the importance of the youth. We're not seeing the importance of education for our young people. You know, we tend to live in the now, which is unfortunate. You know, the now goes with when you become an elder and you pass away, the now is gone. But the future is the children. So we need to think 10, 20 years from now. A 10-year-old today in 10 years is going to be 20 or 30 in 20 years. So it's important that we look, these young people, what's going to happen to them many years from now? Do you know how sad it is that that our educational system is so bad that 1 out of 3 children in Nigeria are not in school? That's 10.1 million children, elementary school children who are not in school. 8.1 million secondary school students are not in school. A lot of these are little boys. A lot of these are little girls. These are the future of Nigeria, and they are in the streets. As a matter of fact, UNICEF says that Nigeria represents 15% of the whole world population of children who are not in school. 15%.
That's tragic.
That's a lot of children who are not in school. So we need to start investing in our children. We need to start putting them first because, quite frankly, all the people who are running Nigeria, if you are not engaging the youth, then Nigeria will always stall. I'm noticing places like Burkina Faso, places like Rwanda, Kenya, all of them are investing tremendously in the youth because there lies the future. All the work that AWMC does, we really focus on young people. We mobilize women to focus on young people because they are the future. Without them, there's no Nigeria. You know, we just playing games. As far as Nigeria is concerned, we are enriching the moment, but the future is struggling. Our children are not going to school, and some of the schools even are so bad. I was watching a video of children in schools where the rain is falling on them. How in the world can they think?
It's normal in Nigeria.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not acceptable. It's not
It's
acceptable.
unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. And for me personally, that is why I'm engaged the way I am. because I know it's not acceptable. I know I can make a difference in whatever way I can. You know, there's an Igbo proverb that says, you don't eat with all the teeth in your mouth. So that some of us who are not in Nigeria, we can still be part of the solution. Do you understand? We don't all have to be congregated in Nigeria. Wherever it is you are, you must look to home and see what role you can play. Whatever reason why you're not in Nigeria, Nigeria is still your home. So you must make sure that you're participating in some way, in whatever way you can, to help people at home. So that is very important. I'm glad you raised it. But I think that men should take interest in young boys. They are the future men. They're the future men of Nigeria. Don't ignore them. You know what? Let me tell you, Smart. One of the things that really bothers me when I come to Nigeria is when I go to the airport and see all these young people, many of them educated, yes, fighting for my luggage.
Yes.
That doesn't make sense. These young people should have good jobs. They should be in school. If not, they're in school already. We should be encouraging education, because that's the only way we're going to be able to rise. That's the only way we're going to be able to rise.
Yeah, a little digression. I don't know if this is a part of what you do, a component of what you do, and if it is not, maybe perhaps I should suggest it. Maybe we'll start from now, from going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Women in Nigeria are used as tools to bring about the horrible trajectory of leadership that we have. One is because poverty is weaponized, and people are made to do inordinate things that they would not do in their normal, in their real senses, to help politicians win elections. And one group they use most is women. They will use women to organize, they use them to mobilize votes. At the end of the day, they are abandoned. And all these things that you and I have been talking about keeps getting worse. What kind of education are we going to give to women if they are not already doing so? Or I do it through my own program, but I think we need to have an organized format to teach our young women the importance of not making their votes a transactional thing for the outcome that negatively impact them in no distant time. Yes.
The most powerful tool in the hands of an oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Let me say that again. The most powerful tool in the hands of an oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Many of these people, women you're talking about, they are oppressed.
Yes.
Because people don't do things when they're in their right minds, or they have resources, or they have opportunities. Many of them do what they do because they are promised all these things. And like you said, they are abandoned eventually. The kind of country we have is based on, I'm sorry to say, there's a lot of greed. It's not about the good of the people. It's the good of the politician. So the politician will promise this and promise this and promise that, and unfortunately, these people will fall for it, only to find out eventually that those things were not real. How do you educate them? By empowering them. Women who are empowered don't act that way. And that's why I said earlier, we need to look at what happens in the women student girls in the villages, in rural areas. Most of them don't go to school. Many of them get married early. They don't have any chances to do better. They marry very early. They have children very early. They have to stay home and take care of their families. So they don't always have access to education. So they're easily manipulated. People go to the villages and collect them when they become adults, or young wives or whatever. They collect them and make them do all these things and promise them heaven and earth. And when the politician gets in office, they're abandoned. So given people who are educated are not vulnerable, they're less vulnerable. So giving them the opportunity to get education. And let me say this, one of the problems that we have in our school system is we say we're educating, but we're not educating our people, we're miseducating our people.
Absolutely.
Because it's not based on anything cultural. Some of the value system that held us together in the past is not what we're using anymore. Everything is so Eurocentric. And we think for some reason, the more Eurocentric our children are, the better they are. But that's not true. We have value system to teach them that we're not teaching them anymore. So all they see is greed. All they see is this Eurocentrism, money, 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 money. No values. They don't see the value in being kind to one another. They don't see the value in helping somebody. They see the value in money. How much money are you going to give me for this? No, not how much pleasure I will get from doing something positive. So the education has to be has to take precedence, as far as I'm concerned, compared to everything else. Educate a woman about herself, about what's important about her society and the role that she plays in society. She's not going to go this other way. Teach her from the perspective of an African woman, what we do, how we care for ourselves, how we honor each other, how we take care of our communities. But now we're being used, like you said, as tools to pump up some person in office who's not even interested in anything about us. So that's what African Women Mobilization Commission is doing. We're trying to train, we offer training to let them know how important they are in society and how they must not be hoodwinked easily.
Thank you. Gender repression is a big thing in Africa, but I believe it's worse in Nigeria. I've been through a lot of African countries, but what is happening in Nigeria as it relates to gender repression makes me cry because my mom was a great woman, strong woman, just a huge advocate like you are, in her lifetime. Well, what I'm seeing in Nigeria right now is like the way, the arrogance, the vendetta against women being anything in Nigeria is alarming.
It's I repeat it all the time. If you look at great nations, they incorporate the participation of their women. You cannot have one part of the population undermined and only one part is doing well. Leadership comes from different minds. A woman is just as capable of being a leader as a man is. That's why we keep saying you cannot go into battle with people who used both feet. If you're jumping around on one foot, you're going to lose the battle. Your woman, Nigerian women, the other foot that the men need. We need to work together. We need to encourage women. It's so repressive. You're right. Sometimes when I go home, it's depressing. I remember, I just want to share this story. I remember one time I brought African-American doctors and engineers and all such people with me. I took them to Nigeria. We went to a place in Afikpo. It's called Uruken. And there was a cave, supposedly, where people were taken out of Nigeria to the New World for slavery. And but when we got there, and I came with two young men, photographers. When we got there, all these educated women were not allowed to go in there because the men had to go in first. Well, I dare say they were wondering, what does that mean? The men had to go in first. Even the photographers that we brought with us, they had to go in there first and do whatever they had to do before the women were allowed. And so people are saying it's culture. Listen, culture is dynamic.
Absolutely.
Any culture that does not change will stagnate.
Absolutely.
To say to these women, all accomplished doctors and all, that they have to wait for a little photographer to go in first because he's male. I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. And one of them was so angry. She says she had to go. So and then they started begging us, oh, I beg, madam, make una come. It's okay. It's okay. No, it's not okay.
It's not.
It's not okay. This culture,
Yes.
The impression has been made. This culture of undermining women is nonsense. Women are your mothers. They birth you. Without women, there's no man.
Absolutely not.
You see, we should honor, if you disrespect a woman, you're disrespecting your mother.
Mother,
And
yes.
that's, the people
I'm
who,
very conscious of that every time.
that's right. And I need the education we give our sons is important. Our sons need to know that they are not the all be it all. They are just as important as the girls are, and the girls are just as important as they are. They need to learn to work together. They need to learn not to disrespect each other. They need to learn that working together makes a better society. As opposed to sometimes somebody will say to you, what does that mean? I know that. I don't
Right.
need you to tell me that.
Oh,
Okay, that's my
oh,
strength right there.
yeah. Somebody just said something, in reaction to this vexatious issue. He said, blame Christianity and Islam. Can you, address that?
let,
On
let me.
this problem we
Uh,
have right now that is actually um, conflicting with our culture, who we are, our tradition as a people.
I am so glad that that was raised.
Yes.
We need to reclaim our spiritual heritage. There's a need for cultural renaissance in Nigeria.
Watching the Hub.
Um,
Thank you very much for raising that issue. Yeah, that's the name of the
yeah,
person. Watching.
yes,
Yes.
I am a guardian or a chaste in Igbo. During the time of Festac, if some of you remember Festac, there was a parade of OTRA, Organization of Traditional Religions, coming from Africa, from every part of Africa, to showcase African spiritual prowess. Ahanke Oke, my father, led that movement at that time. We must address this crucial. I'm so glad this person said it. This is what's leading us astray. It's a crucial aspect of our identity as Nigerians. Yes, we are undeniably deeply religious people. We have embraced both Christianity and we have embraced Islam. However, in this embrace, something has happened. We have sacrificed our rich cultural, spiritual traditions that are very foundational. It's the very foundation of our values and identity. This is what the Chinese know, the Japanese know, the white people know. All of them embrace their spiritual culture. And that goes for, if you want, Hinduism, Shintoism, Taoism, Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Christianity, you name it. But we have our own too. It is essential for us to redefine ourselves and revisit these spiritual traditions. They are not merely relics of the past. They represent living expressions of who we are. There are proverbs in our heritage that encapsulates profound wisdom and resonates with our experiences that we are abandoning because somebody tells us there's something wrong with it. It's not holy enough. It's not Christian. It's not Muslim. It is good enough for us. It was for our ancestors. That's why I never start anything without saying thank you to my ancestors. Because that I am who they are. They made me. You cannot idolize other people's cultures at the expense of yours. Our tradition serves as the anchor of our humanity.
Absolutely.
It is built on foundational principles, the belief that we are one with the Creator. We are. We say, Chiso. I am one with the Creator.
Absolutely.
Right where I am, God is. That is our spiritual philosophy in the past, before everything else was introduced to us. There's no distance between us and the divine, according to African spirituality. Chiso. I walk with the divine. Our ancestors nurtured the nature. They believed in nature. They took care of nature. They thought that was primitive. When the Europeans came, they thought that was primitive. It wasn't primitive. It's just honoring nature because we feed off nature. Nature protects us. That is the gift that Chineke has given us. And we abandon all those things. We need
I guess
to,
that's where we are stuck.
that's why we are stuck. Before the doctrines introduced by foreign religions took a root of our lives, took the root of our lives, We thrived under a system. We need to revisit the system of values that we have that recognize sacredness in all things. Madubuchibeya, we are God to each other. Madubuchibeya, we're God to each other. We must ask ourselves, my brother, right now, how did our ancestors understand life, growth, and death long before the arrival of European influences?
Absolutely. What I always say is that we were fractured on purpose.
That's right, of course.
And the concept of education has nothing to do with us. Because if you
No,
look at the real definition of education, what we have is truly not education.
no, miseducation. Miseducation. I had shared this with you. I had an opportunity to visit one of the big malls in Omaha, and I saw this cute little boy, and I went up to him. I said, "Ndewo, dede, ndewo," and he says, he starts to speak to me in English, and I said in Asukwibo. And he says, he looked at me like and shook his head no. And the mother intervened and said, oh no, he doesn't speak that. He speaks English. I said, is he an Igbo boy? He says, yes, he's Igbo. But he doesn't, and you're proud that he doesn't speak Igbo? There's no pride in that. We need a revolution of thought and mind. That's what we need. We need really, I'm telling you very honestly, as long as your mind belongs to somebody else. That's why I said it. The most powerful tool in the hands of an oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Not your house, not your building, not your money. Your mind, because your mind can be used against you. Your mind can be used to build or to destroy. Stephen Biko said it to young South Africans many years ago. As long as you can hold on to your mind, nobody can deceive you. You will be less vulnerable if you know how to use your mind and not allow somebody else to use it as a tool. And that's where we are. Many of us have decided that there's nothing good about who we are. Our names are no good. Our traditions are no good. Our spirituality are no good. I mean, anything about us, the more European we look, the better. But when you do that, you lose something very critical that our ancestors believe in. The power of affirmation. I am one with Chineke is the most powerful affirmation. Because if you are with the greatest players, how can you be weak?
Never. Can we?
You can never be weak.
Can never
So
be.
we have not really fared well in our society right now because we have failed to redefine ourselves and stick to our values. It is important. I'm not here to challenge Christians. I'm not here to challenge Muslims. That is not my thing. I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is look around you and see, where are we? With all these things we believe in, where has that put us? We need to rediscover that essence that's African. Madubuchibeya, we're God to each other. Do you understand? Those are spiritual concepts. Most of our children don't know those things. When we work together, there's nothing we can stamp out. Those are spiritual tenets. But the television and movies and all that, they paint Africans as voodoo worshippers or whatever, they make us look bad, so that we are afraid to look bad. We're afraid of the consequences of their religious doctrines, that we abandon our own. Let me just say this. We must, and thank you for the young man or young woman who made that comment, we must come together to reclaim our spiritual heritage and embrace the values that have sustained us for centuries. It is time for cultural renaissance in Nigeria, and it must include one that honors our past. We must honor our past, we must enrich our present, and that is the only way we can find a brighter future. Otherwise, we will continue to be slaves and embracing and dancing to someone else's music. It's change.
Great, great. A lot of comments are coming from here, and you're going to have some patience. I'm going to read some to you so you react to them. Man, these people, you have a group of highly intelligent people and who are asking a lot of questions, who are hungering for answers to a lot of confusion here. But before that, I'm going to take you to Anambra State of today, what is taking place there. I don't know if you're following what is taking place about the governor of Anambra State and the people they call DBR, native doctors, that are being arrested and hounded for one thing about money rituals that they say they make, and he's asking them to prove. And I want you to weigh in on that, because as good as we believe that our culture is, our tradition is, there are some frightening things that are coming out of it that young people are now turning into a means of killing people for making money. So I would love, I don't know how much you know about what is taking place there. So you can weigh in on that as much as you know.
Okay.
There's a lot of arrests is being made, and some really crazy things are showing up on the internet about what some people, in the name of they say they make money for people, but when you look at these people making this money, they don't have money. I don't know what they do to make
Well,
other people rich.
I think it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because people will do whatever. It doesn't matter if they're traditional rulers, I mean, priests or whatever, because
Yes,
you have Christians who are doing some horrific things as well.
I agree. We will
Uh,
come
you,
to that.
yeah, you know. So, but the situation just it really just requires redirection with these people who are doing what they're doing, because religion, they are seeing, I'm not making any excuses, but religion has become the money making vessel. When you don't have any other way of making money, you become creative and start using whatever it is you think you can use to fool people to make money. So a lot of what they're doing is certainly a lot of foolishness. But at the same time, I think that they need to have good dialogue. Okay, you need to, as a therapist, people do crazy things, and my role is to find out why they do it. You don't just punish people because of what they're doing. Find out why they're doing it and discontinue it by giving them an out. Do you understand what I'm saying? There has to be an out. People, when you put people in prison and all of that, and you flog them and all that. I've seen people being burned to death because they're African, because they're not Christian, and it's Christians burning them. I've seen those kinds of things.
It's true.
But those Christians who are doing it is because they don't know any different. It's not because they're bad people, but they themselves are misled. I said we need a cultural renaissance. All the people doing all these things they're doing, they themselves, I believe, need to be schooled on what is appropriate African spirituality. Those things you're doing is not African. It's just something they're inventing and calling it African spirituality. You
Great.
see.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Somebody says, this is Paul Smith. He said, selfish people embrace Christianity and Islam, but not the slaves sold out of Africa.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I'm quoting this, Mr. Paul Smith. He said, selfish people embrace Christianity and Islam, but not the slaves sold out of Africa. I think he's meaning the people who came here as slaves do not accept the concept that we accept,
Yeah.
about Christianity and Islam. Yeah.
When when Africans were, but because it's very, very important to understand the difference between being coming to Africa as slaves. They didn't come from Africa as slaves, obviously. They came from Africa and became enslaved. And
Yes.
Christianity was used for their enslavement, right? And
Yes.
usually, what you teach a person for their sanity, for their safety, whatever you teach them, that's what they will go with, right? So when
Yes.
they became independent, many of them started to study, to learn about the Christian faith. And even though, and I've got to be fair to every religion, there are good people in every religion. Every religion, the intention of religion is to be good, to God. All right, God in whatever different names. That is intention. But then you always have those bad people who take the religions to a whole different level. They use it for cruelty, they use it for theft, for greed, and all sorts of things. You see, but Americans, particularly African Americans, I have a gentleman he was an African American who went to Nigeria. He was so disappointed, he left. He couldn't stay because he came with all his African clothing and all of that. And he's seeing African people in suits and ties and all of that in the blazing heat. And he says, what the heck is this? He said, I came here to see Africa. What is this I'm looking at? You know, and they thought he was crazy because he wanted to learn about this African spirituality. You know, and they were trying to tell him about Christianity. The thing about Christianity, you know, I want to see a world where people can exist regardless of what their
Religions.
religion. I want to see that. Show me your religion. Don't show me your God. Don't you understand? Don't talk about your God. Show me. When they came to Africa, people they took many resources. Why they gave us the Bible, you know? And while we're reading the Bible, they're reaping the land. They're rich. If you go to who do you think supports the world religions? Africa does.
Absolutely.
We support them. We support the Christian faith. The Catholic faith and all of
Oh,
that.
yes.
We support all of that.
There are more
Okay.
Catholics in Africa than anywhere on earth.
Yes, and it doesn't mean. Look around, smart. Look around Nigeria. If you can tell me today, big edifices structured, erected for African spiritual traditions, show me where. I will fly there and go take a picture.
There's none.
There's none.
There's none.
But we certainly have cathedrals, we have mosques. Now we have what you might call it, Jewish.
Okay, yeah.
We're now most of us
Synagogue.
have synagogues. Most of us are now Jewish. You know, we're no longer Igbos. We're all Jewish. You know, that sort of thing. You know, so it is so important that we understand that we cannot blame people for what they do to us when we accept it. We are accepting it. There's nothing. There's no chains anymore on our hands. Now the chains are on the mind. You know, and that we need to free ourselves of that, and it's free. We just have to be willing. And we need to stop making monsters of people trying to teach us to embrace all that we are. I'm a teacher. I'm a professor. And I'm telling you, when my students write thesis, if they cannot cite African minds, African resources, I will not give them an A. Or they get mad and I say, well, say, everything you showed me is one-sided. Where show me the African mind in your write-up, in your thesis. Show me the resources that show that you even care enough about yourself to see what your own people think about anything. But they'll cite everything else. So I won't give you an A. Or they get mad. I say, that's too bad. Now, and I make it clear to them. Make sure you cite different sources. Black minds, European minds, Asian minds, whatever. It is the world does not just belong to the Europeans. So don't keep citing them.
Yes.
You can cite everybody else. So it's really a tragedy. It's a tragedy what's happening. Yeah.
It's a huge tragedy.
It is.
Yeah. Before we leave this question, whenever you hear a Nigerian pastor, man of God, because I hear it, because that's why I try to, on purpose, stay away from hearing that. I don't go to any place where who I am is insulted. You see, before they start anything, they start you condemning ancestral spirits. My ancestors were some of the best people on earth. They didn't do anything wrong to me. So why will I be condemning them, banning and binding them? So whenever you hear such, how do you feel? What do you think? What goes through your mind whenever you hear it, if ever you hear it?
Well, here's the point that people should know. Anytime that you put your or allow any of your ancestors to be put down, you're bringing yourself down. You are admitting, you're acquiescing. I'm nobody. When a man of God starts to talk about your ancestors, they're saying that you're nothing. Because white folks are supporting their own ancestors. Asians are talking about their ancestors. You're the only one whose ancestors are bad. All right? But their own ancestors are the ones who enslaved you, enslaved your people. And that's the people you're honoring. When you accept that, you accept that you're not good enough. You are a consequence of your ancestors, good, bad, or indifferent. You should be proud to honor them, To allow them to be disparaged is allowing yourself to be disparaged. You cannot, you can never be greater than your ancestors. You can be greater than them in some things, but it's because of them that are here. You're here. The footsteps you tread, ancestors did that first before you came.
Absolutely.
The pride in who we are is that we honor. That's why I say to my ancestors, thank you for being, because you were, I am today. The man of God and all those people who say those things, and that's one of the things I say, they do anything to make money. It's a money-making scheme. I know they don't believe that. They can't possibly believe all of that stuff they're saying. Because anybody with any common sense knows that if you are putting down your ancestors, you're putting down yourself. That's just the bottom line.
In no distant time, you become an ancestor.
You'll be an ancestor someday, and then your people will not, your people will curse at you. Is that what you want? You always lay the foundation for the future. What you want to see in the future is what you have to lay, the foundation you have to lay today. Wow. Tomorrow, we're all going to be ancestors. We're not going to live here forever. So the way that we teach our children to treat their ancestors, that's how they're going to treat us. That's why my children, I've always taught them, before you do anything, remember and honor your ancestors, because they are the reason why and be proud of them. Just because some people they didn't have a plane, they didn't drive flying planes, and they don't have flat screen TVs, they didn't have all this stuff. What they had at the time they lived was good enough for them. That's all they needed. All these are introduced cultural expressions and things that we're using. It doesn't make them bad. You honor them for what they went through, who they were. And then if you can do better, so do. But don't put down your ancestors. That's the worst to me. That's the worst crime. That's the worst crime.
I agree with you. I really share that. Yeah, I get pissed off whenever I hear it, and it turns me off, and I just leave, because that's the worst anybody can do to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'll take one more. It said one watching Hawk said, "I never knew men and women are different until Christianity and Islam came to my community and destroyed my community, and women became nothing."
That's right. That's right. When people talk about, sexism in African and Igbo culture, I just remember it wasn't always like that. No. Umuada, men honored their women. Men took care of their women. They honored their women. And when men were having some kind of level of adversity, when Umuada came, when the sisters came and talked to them, the fight was over. They honored their women. All of these things, like this young man said, or young woman, is because of the introduction of foreign doctrines. The whole concept of the world is going to, you know what the word I'm trying to use, but I'll just not say it here. But every problem, the woman ate the apple, and because of she ate the apple, then the man, I mean, come on, well, why did you eat the apple? You're the man now. You ate the apple. Now you want to blame me. So the bottom line here is, we've just adopted so many crazy things, and it's impacting our ability to see straight.
Yeah, but don't you think those things were deliberately made to really hold some people down?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I'm a Rastafarian. I've read the Bible. I read the Quran. I've read a lot of books.
Yeah.
And then there's one story in the Bible about Ham, Shem, and Japhet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They said Ham was the black man, and that his children were cursed.
Yeah.
Because they saw his nakedness. And by extension, that is the reason why the black people are the way they are. That God caused them. Does God cause his children?
Well, their God does, mine doesn't. So I'll leave that. I'll leave that alone. I want to just add one little thing.
All right.
At some point, we as African people have to adhere or have to adopt an umbrella under which we can go to battle. Anything that impacts the Europeans, they go under the banner of Christianity. The Muslims go under Islam.
Islam, yes.
The Asians go under Buddhism, etc. What do we have? When Uwa Onyioha was alive, he saw all of this. And that's why him and Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe and Fela Ransom Kuti's mom and several other greats, they said it was imperative that we rally around our own spiritual. It doesn't matter the diversity of it. And that's why they started the Guardian religion or Chiism. But people need to understand the purpose of that. The purpose is to give you an identity so that you can step into the world just like everybody else and say, this is me, I'm African. This is what I offer the world. Today, I go everywhere and I speak. And I speak as a woman, a Chiist, and I'm respected. I'm invited to speak in congregations of Christians and Muslims and all. They are thrilled that an African, the Africans have their own. And I let them know that, yes, we were if humanity and civilization began in Africa, that means we gave you spirituality.
Yes.
And we just reintroducing it to you. And so we need to be proud as a people. We need to stop putting ourselves down. We don't need to hate Muslims or anything like that, but we don't need to throw our own spirituality into the out with the dirty bathwater. It's like throwing the baby out with the dirty bathwater. Let me tell you something that happened in Nairobi, Kenya. All right, in Nairobi, Kenya, I noticed something that I thought was a little odd. Here were all the religious leaders all gathered, and there was no African represented on the dais. All of them were all European religions. These are religious leaders. But I had gone to represent my dad. He couldn't go because he was sick. So when I got there and I saw there were no Africans there, I called the James Khan. I called him, who was the program director for WCRP. I said, I noticed that there's no African on the dais. Why is that? He says, oh, it's a Christian and this and that. I say, well, who tells you that Africans don't have their own spirituality? Why is no African spirituality represented there? I'm representing my dad. I need to be at that on that dais. And he says, well, it's already been planned. I said, no, it hasn't been planned, baby. You didn't plan it well. So one of us has to be up there. I made so much noise, so much stink, if I may use that expression, that they were forced to make sure that I represent. Because I told them, I will make noise. You are on African soil. You cannot tell me that we don't have something that can be represented here, and I'm supposed to sit quietly. We're not having that. When the Archbishop of Uganda went up to speak, I went up to him. I said, if you speak in English, we're going to have some, there'll be trouble. Speak Swahili. They are interpreting French, interpreting Spanish, interpreting everything, but nobody's interpreting anything African. We're in Africa, for heaven's sake.
What they did to us is just too much.
And I told him, I will make sure, because the news media has picked up on me and they were following me everywhere. And I said, I've got the news media here. I'll make noise and that will embarrass you. So you speak Swahili. When he started speaking Swahili, everybody's looking like, well, wait a minute, what's going on? He should speak English to understand. So he said to them, find me somebody that can interpret Swahili. I'm going to speak in Swahili. And somebody had to come and speak in Swahili. And I said, that's how you do it. When you're in Africa, this is your home, for heaven's sake. We went to a temple, a Buddhist temple, and they were lining us, Africans to the right, whites to the left. We're in Africa, for heaven's sake. So I refused. I said, no, I'm going to be on the left. So when I went on, I've already had a run-in with James Kern, and when the young woman, the young Buddhist girl says, ma'am, you have to go to the right. I said, no, I want to know what it is that is on this left side. that everybody else is going. It seems like it's in the nice place, so I'm
Yeah.
going there too. I represent a religious leader too. So when the British monk or whatever he was came and said, "What's the problem?" The young girl is telling her or telling him that this woman will not go to the right. James Kern saw that it was me and ran to them and said, "Let her in now. Leave her alone." So I had to go to the left. When we all sat down, everybody had their flowers. I didn't have mine. I called her. I said, "Jim, he snatched flowers from from another guy and gave to me and said, please just let's have peace here. Give her her flowers." The point I'm trying to make is this: you have the responsibility to make noise for yourself.
Sure.
You have to tell people who you are. They are not going to identify you if you're mealy mouthed or you're happy to be in the shadows. You cannot be great in the shadows. You go into your greatness in the dark. You must come forward. And that's what I tend to do when I go anywhere. I'm polite to people, but I also let them know I'm a proud African woman. I don't get embarrassed by it. So, how do you do?
Great, great. Now Let's go back to your program, the your commission. Now you established this pilot program in Georgia. How do
Yes,
you plan to replicate it in Nigeria? The
because
success of Georgia prototype. Yeah.
Present Energy Valley, I'm sorry, Pleasant Valley Energy is going to go with us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's their prototype, so they're going to build it there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that we're just trying to get this one done so that we see how it works out and put the girls in it and get that going, and then we'll have to go to Nigeria and do the same thing. Yep. Yeah, I'm
Great.
excited about that. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, Borno has been ravaged by a lot of things: insecurity arising from terrorism,
Mhm.
Boko Haram to be precise, and now
Yeah.
more recently the Great Flood. What are the primary goals of the Street to Security program in Borno State of Nigeria that you guys are championing?
Yes, I'm so excited. It's a new program. It's a new program. There's a gentleman. He has a long name, and I don't want to mess it up. He's one of the imams there, and he's running a school for children that he's picking. And he has so many children that he's picking off the streets. It's just a pathetic thing, but he's picking them off the streets, and one of the things that he's trying to do is create security for them. There are different kinds of security, as you well know.
Yes.
And most of these children, and some of these children are engaged in drinking. They are, as young as 8 years old, they're drinking. Can you
Drinking.
imagine? They're drinking. They're doing drugs. And these are little kids. Very just very
Drugs. Where
disturbing.
does these drugs come from?
I'm not sure where they're getting it. They're getting it off the streets. They're getting it off the streets. And so what we're trying to do is to create an environment where we can do human security. Human security involves a lot of things. It involves, like I said earlier, um, um, uh, what is the word I'm looking for? Food insecurity. So we're going to be taking them off the streets and feeding them. One of the key things we're going to be doing is creating housing opportunities. All right, that's the key thing. Because too many of them are in the streets. They don't have to have mansions, they don't have to have fancy places, they just need a roof over their heads. So we want to make sure that they have a place where we can provide them food, get them out of the elements and provide them food. And once you are able to feed them, you've secured food security. Then the next thing you want to do for them is economic security. Some of them have family members. If we can get their parents to learn a trade or something like that, they make some money and still be able to support some of these kids. Those that we don't take in, those that are in the streets, we try and help their family members, those who do have family members. So, and then of course keep them safe from sex trafficking. That's the biggest thing that happens to these little girls. And I'm talking little girls. We're talking about 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And if I may just say, one of the things that we want to discourage, Don't take people's children into your home and promise them that you are going to send them to school. If you're not going to send them to school, don't. Most of these children is they end up in these homes where they're abused, they become little slaves, and they're sexually molested. So we're really tracking. We want to be tracking what's happening with the little kids, where they are going, who's taking them. It's not an easy thing to do, but you see, you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. So we start with all these little bitty things that we're doing, and it becomes big. Now we're getting attention. People are beginning to look at us and want to support what we're doing. I always say, and I said that earlier, you don't eat with all the teeth in your mouth. Some chew, some do something else. Okay, so we start with whatever it is you can do to chew that food, whatever you can do to stamp out the problem, that's what you do. So we start small, 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 small. All the human security actions we can take to make life better. That's what we're trying to do for these children, So taking them off the streets and giving them security.
Great. Do you have success stories to show?
In terms of
or expected outcome for the level of involvement or what you have done
oh
so
my
far?
goodness, we feed them in the camps, So the IDPS camp, there are 4 camps. I can't name all of them. They're up north where we give them food, and then we have quite a number of children we have in school. What I do here is adopt. We have a program here. We support children. We have Americans who make donations to kids. They go. If you go to our website, AWMC, AWMCglobal.org, and you go to children, school children, you'll see that on the browser. Okay, you see all the work we're doing. You see all the children that we are trying to help. Some of them we're helping, some of them we're still trying to help because we have people go there and they see some children there, they identify kids they want to help, and then they pay their tuition. So we are doing that sort of thing. And of course, some of the kids that were taken off the streets for sex trafficking. All right, and then we do training. We do online training. When I'm not there, we do online training. When other kinds of training happen, the national director and state directors do training. We have a long way to go, but we're making inroads in how we're impacting, particularly the IDPS camps and general helping girls in general.
Okay. In terms of support and funding, how can individuals and organizations get involved with supporting the African Women Mobilization Commission's initiatives?
Please go to AWMCglobal.org. AWMCglobal.org. It tells you about who we are and how you can join us and how you can support. And also, let me give you this one, STEM She, STEM She, SHE.org. That is the company that helps to fund OMSI. And so you can find out, once you go to that website, stemshe.org, you'll find out how they're helping us and how you too can help the organization.
Okay. One critical question I would love to ask, from an onlooker and somebody who is interested, and developing a lot of curiosity about what you guys do. What challenges do you foresee in implementing these programs, and how do you plan to overcome them?
Well, the problem that we foresaw was funding, right? Funding, and as a matter of fact, a lot of international grant makers that were in Africa, right, that were helping African programming. But unfortunately, based on in the United States and the dissolution of U.S. aid, the attempt to dissolve U.S. aid, African grant funds, and so many things that support African programs. We knew that was coming. We didn't know that was coming down the pike quite as fast, as it is now. However, we get funding through membership dues. That's number one. We do fundraising. Okay, that's the other way we do it. And then the other thing is donations. We accept donations. And of course, we now have STEMSHE that's helping us raise funds. So that's how we raise our funds.
Okay. coming to the issue of the suspension or the planned dissolution of U.S. aid, as an African, did you think that, or do you agree? Whatever position you take on that, is fine. I have my own position about the U.S. aid and the massive endowment Africa has.
Well,
The massive. Do we need aid to be very honest?
well, the purpose of aid, obviously, when all is said and done, is to keep you wanting and needing, right, and dependent.
Yes.
And when sometimes when you don't have something, you find a way, don't you? Right? So, and the thing about it was a bit corrupting as well because it's just so much money and it doesn't always go to the right hands. It became a way to kind of get some governments, cajole some governments to do certain things, you see. So it did have its benefit to some degree, to the degree that some of that money was used for the purpose it was supposed to be used for. But when it was not used for that purpose, it became a means of subjugating us to persistent and consistent beggar status. Okay, we have a lot of resources in Africa. And that's why I'm proud of countries like a small country like Burkina Faso tapping into their resources and using that for, to overcome what they can get from the Europeans. And to show that you've got what it takes. We do have what it takes to make ourselves, to sustain ourselves. So yes, some of these monies are going away. Some of them did some good. Some of them, well, we will find other ways. We will find other ways. Before all these aids came, we did have a way to run our countries. So we must find it again.
Absolutely. Great, great. Now, let's come back a little bit to Nigeria.
Okay.
Now, what do you think can be done to improve education, healthcare, and lift people out of poverty in Nigeria? Yes.
Well, Nigeria is. Let's talk about education first and foremost. I think that I talked about the educational situation where many of our children are not going to school.
Yes.
The first thing is to reconsider the importance of education. Education is the vine. That's the vine towards success. You have to climb that educational vine towards success. And if more of your people are not educated and only few are educated, you're not going anywhere. You're not. So education must be front and center in Nigeria. Access to quality education. Many of our children don't have, particularly, and I said it earlier, in the rural areas, they lack access to quality education. They are underfunded. They need to be funded. These schools need to be funded, leading to overcrowded classrooms. The teachers are not there. Some kids go to school, they stay all day, they don't learn anything because there are no teachers. And sometimes you have teachers, but they're unqualified teachers. And those are very, very important. Then you have, as I said earlier, gender disparities, particularly these girls who face all these additional barriers to education due to cultural norms, that and they're forced to early marriages, all those kinds of things. These kids have to support their parents because the government should do more to help parents, to help the poor. We don't have social safety nets for our people. Everybody's scrounging to try and make $1 here, naira here, and all of that. And it's not consistent income. So these children, the parents can't pay for the students. So the students have to stay home and hawk in the street to make money to support sometimes aging parents and ailing parents. Nigeria must make education number one for our children, and the right kind of education. And I'm not talking education based on Eurocentrism. I'm talking about education, yes, that incorporates everything, but certainly also incorporates values that come from our cultural experiences and traditions that teach our children what the Europeans will not teach them. You know, there's another, I use a lot of proverbs. It says, Akum dero pani. Akum dero pani. My wealth lies in my community.
Yes.
We must teach our children that your education is not just for you. Your education is for your community. There's look at you, you're all fancy and everything. Your mother, your family
Your mother
is naked in the street. There's no, our children, that's our value system that need to be inculcated into our educational system. Our children need to know that. We're being miseducated. I see our children dressed in Eurocentric school uniforms, and somehow we think that means something. It doesn't mean anything. They're just glorified servants in someone else's vineyard. That's all we're teaching them. I'm proud of what is going on, and I have to always refer. You have to do comparative studies. I always refer to what's going on in Burkina Faso. Children must dress in African attire. They must not wear foreign uniforms. As a matter of fact, you have to wear African attire when you're next to the president. And what that is doing is creating opportunities for business, for small businesses to make African clothing.
Absolutely.
So we need to reevaluate the kind of education we're giving. That's important. That's very important. And bring down the number of children who are out of school. We need to make sure more of our children are attending school and give them the opportunity to rise. Without an education, it just circles poverty. Our children will continue to be in poverty. Well, let's look at the healthcare. Africa, unfortunately, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Look at our hospitals, okay? The infrastructure is not there. Many healthcare facilities are poorly equipped. And there is a shortage of medical professionals. A lot of these medical professionals are enticed to go abroad. They took when I was in Nairobi, Kenya, they took us to the hospital where there were, women were milling about, they were pregnant, and there were no doctors to attend to them. They were giving birth, and there was only one nurse that we saw. And there's these women just screaming and giving birth on their own. Mm. And you can imagine if you're giving birth, for you to do it on your own like that, no help, no assistance, some of these babies are breached, and then ultimately, yes. So we have a problem with even maternal care, maternal health. Many women, they say that out of 100,000 births, 1,046 women die because either they didn't get, pre-health care, or during birth, they didn't have care, or after birth, they die. That's way too many women to die, you see. So healthcare is very, very important. And of course, we have the disease burden in Nigeria. We have communicable diseases, we have malaria, we have HIV, AIDS, and right now, because of the aid being cut off, many people are dying of HIV, AIDS, that they shouldn't die. But my thing is, where is our healthcare industry, knowing fully well that we're dependent on foreign medications and all that? Why didn't we take the time to develop the same thing in Africa, so that if people start cutting off their aid, we are prepared to take care of our own, because we don't really take care of our own. We don't think in those terms. Those people are in charge. When they get sick, they leave the country. They leave the country, and the poor people have no means of being treated or being taken care of. Many of them die. Something I saw at the hospital that just blew my mind. I'm like, oh, Chineke, please. This guy was in an accident, and the bones, he had gotten injured. The bones on his leg were all protruding. And he was just lying there. Nobody was attending to him. And he's just moaning and crying, and people are walking past him. He's on the floor. That broke my heart. Okay? But those kinds of things are everywhere. You know, so healthcare is, education is important. Healthcare is important. Now we have non-communicable diseases are rising, such as diabetes and hypertension. Stress is killing a lot of our people. The stress of not knowing where your next meal is coming. You have children, you can't feed them. Any government that cares about their people should be concerned about poverty. To be very concerned about poverty, because poverty should be concerned about healthcare, because healthcare leads to poverty. People who are not healthy, they can't work. So you have a lot of our people who are very sick. You see, you have sick citizenry. They have no healthcare. We must do better. We must do better. Okay. And I just don't know. I don't know what else to say now. Now, one thing though, I want to encourage our people to understand: you never give up. You don't give up on yourself. If the government is not doing what they are supposed to do, and you've tried and tried and keep trying, keep trying. Don't give up. Don't say because they didn't do it, then we just give away. We walk away. You don't walk away. I am very proud of some of our young people who are entrepreneurs. They're doing some exciting things. Entrepreneurship is just rising in Nigeria. Young people are engaged in activism, which is a good thing. You know, it should be, you know, remember during the SARS era, 2020, when there was a lot of activism. That's young people saying, okay, enough is enough. We need to encourage them. We need to not suppress them, you know, because as I said earlier, they are the future of the country, of Nigeria. So let them be able to speak up. Don't see that as a challenge that you have to suppress. Let them speak up, because they will be the ones to lead the nation after we're all gone. So let them be, you know, encourage entrepreneurship. I see a lot of young people creating things, you know, amazing things with wood, you know, even their own toys they're creating. We need to see those kinds of things and encourage it. So
Yes.
So I just say dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. We must talk about it. We must not give up. Yes, the last election for a lot of people, man, some people thought it was a success for them. Some people thought it was not a success. Okay, well, those who didn't see it as a success for themselves should not give up. You always fight. You always fight. You know. And one more thing I want to say about Nigeria right now. Nigeria needs to consider ensuring that all the parts of Nigeria is being taken care of. No zone should be ignored. The eastern part of Nigeria needs to be recognized as a viable part of Nigeria and should not be ignored. I see quite a bit of that, but it should not be ignored. We are all part of Nigeria. If we say we want one Nigeria, then we cannot isolate anyone. All of us deserve the good that Nigeria has, such as it is. But we need to work together, and if we can't work together, then we need to find some way to make sure that everybody feels that they have a stake in Nigeria, and those people in the eastern part of Nigeria who have the money, build an Igbo land, build there. We've got the land. We've got the resources. We can make it just as grand as it is in Lagos, just as grand as it is in Abuja. We can make the East grand. We don't have to look to other people to do it for us. We can do at least that part of it. We can do, you know.
Yes.
So anyway, make a long story short, never stop trying. Keep fighting. A winner never stops. A loser never wins. So you just don't stop because things are not going your way. You just keep fighting until the waves start coming your way to move your ship.
Good. Now, I'll take you a little bit. What do you say about the state of infrastructure in Nigeria? And we're talking about these lofty things. Want Nigeria to be heaven or wherever on earth. All right, if there was heaven somewhere else. But what I understand that is heaven here. I want to see the heaven here first before anyone elsewhere.
That's right.
Nigeria has the potential to be transformed
That's right.
into anything better than the United States because we have more resources than the US has.
Yes.
But we have a problem of leadership and management of our resources.
That's the thing.
Our infrastructure is nothing to write home about. By my own estimation, I don't know. You go to Nigeria, I'm sure you see it too.
Well,
How can
the
we make a
the
beautiful Nigeria without a functional infrastructure?
well, infrastructure, transportation, energy, internet access, those are all part of infrastructure, and they're struggling right now. We must invest in transportation, good transportation. If you look at the rest of the world, they are making sure that there's good infrastructure. When I'm talking about infrastructure, transportation, I'm talking about railroad as well. Good roads, because on good roads you can move goods, from the port to the people. When you don't have good roads, you have a lot of, like I said, when I go to Nigeria, we were going on Ikorodu Road one time. It was so, the roadblocks was just so much. And when I say roadblocks, I don't mean the ones that the police put. I mean roadblocks based on congestion, because the bad roads. You had to literally, our cars were like swimming, and then when in Owerri, we were coming from Port Harcourt, we were going through Owerri, the car was like, we were all praying, Chineke Biko, I beg you, I beg you. Please let me get to where I'm going, I beg,
Yes.
because the road was so bad, you couldn't even see the road, it was like, it was a stream. And yet, what could the people do? They had to follow that, so that does block, obviously, commerce, so that kind of infrastructure is very, very important. The roads must be put in order. And if there's money earmarked for it, it should be used for that purpose. Again, that's what you were saying is the leadership. And all leaders who are interested in the welfare of the community will use the funds appropriated for that particular project, and then that's how you have good roads in that state. You see, so these roads are so bad. It's very essential for fostering economic growth and resilience. So then you have. I always wonder, what do they discuss when they are in the Senate and in the House? What do they talk about? Do they not see the roads the way they are, the infrastructure that's so messed up? It's so bad. The energy problem sometimes is so bad that I was watching some people standing at an electric pole praying for electricity. Come on, people. Huh? Praying for electricity.
Yes, prayer is free.
It's crazy. So yes, transportation is very, very important. We need to invest in it. And railroads, airports, ports, all of those things are part of our transportation infrastructure. They're not always they're not in good order. Some areas, yes, I suppose I see there's a little improvement, but there's a whole lot that we have to do, because of the importance of moving goods to people, trade efficiency, those kinds of things, and economic integration. That's why you need good roads. And then with the challenge of dealing with the bad infrastructures, like what I explained, bottlenecks, and then you have the increased maintenance cost. And when we do it, the first time we build these roads and that kind of thing, we must build them correctly. Because when we don't, they spoil, they break down, and when they break down, it costs more to fix them. And then, of course, there are safety concerns. There's nothing that's so heartbreaking than people driving on bad roads, and how we park our people in trucks and trolleys and all that sort of thing. And then, many people die. I mean, when they have an accident, it's mass death. So we need to be very, very concerned about aging infrastructure and making sure that those things are in order. High-speed railroad. Now, I understand that the Chinese have been building quite a bit of the high-speed railroads, but unfortunately, people are going there and disassembling them. But why are they doing it? Out of frustration. They have to eat.
Yes.
They say, man knows what, as we say. When people are hungry, they'll do anything. They don't intend to. But when you don't have a choice, that's what you do. Okay, so in addition to building all these infrastructure, we must remember the human component. We must make sure that people find things to do, that they don't attack the good that you're doing. We have to have, we also have to have, smart transportation systems. We need energy. We need. I think very honestly, I think out Nigeria should transfer, power generation to renewable energy, because we have so much sun. There's no reason, if the grids are not working because they break down, then we've got renewable energy. We've got the full sun, almost it's definitely more than 8 hours a day. We have full sun, so that energy could be quite reliable. Our
Yes.
dependence on fossil fuels and lead to vulnerabilities. We need to be more get away from things that cause environmental degradation. I can
Absolutely.
speak and speak and speak for
Yes, I know you have a lot. Now, one question:
uh,
the insecurity in Nigeria at the time was restricted to the north of Nigeria,
mhm.
maybe down to the north central. Now it has become a national emergency happening everywhere on the soil of Nigeria. You have what they call Fulani bandits. You
Yeah.
have much more than mercenaries operating across Nigeria.
Hmm.
Does that concern you? And what do you think the people of Nigeria should have to do, especially with the security forces not overstretched and mostly not working for the people of Nigeria? A
Well,
few days ago, I saw the DSS director for the first time in Nigeria's history, a director of DSS coming out to, in a way, say that we have lost it. There's
mm,
nothing we can do. And he
mm,
made a strong suggestive statement that the people of Nigeria now have to take their security in their hands to fight back these elements who
mm,
have been fighting the people of Nigeria with sophisticated ammunition.
mhm,
And then when a few people rose up, they silenced them and made these people untouchable.
mm.
What do you think we should do before I ask another question? I wish that
Well,
I could interview him personally. I would know security questions that I would need to have to ask him.
I'm like you. I'm like everybody else. There's so much going on with the security in Nigeria, and addressing these challenges is so vital for the stability and prosperity of the nation. Because without security, obviously, many people will not go home. I know of a lot of people who want to go home, but they are frightened. Okay, it's going to require a multifaceted approach, by the government, not only focusing on immediate security measures, but also tackles the socio-economic issues. See, that's the thing. The security issues we're having is not just security. It's not coming on its own. It has underlying reasons, socio-economic issues. You see, people do what they do out of desperation. We need to begin the process of fostering dialogue, talk to people, build trust with the people. People feel ignored, they feel neglected. Nobody cares about them. So they do what they can do. We need to start investing in communities, because when the communities are not safe, the people don't feel safe, the citizens feel ignored. Some of the banditry that's going on is causing a lot of havoc in agricultural towns. You know, so people are not farming because of the banditry of Boko Haram and all those kinds of things. So they don't farm, and then you have food insecurity. The implications of these security challenges is really profound. And it must, when I think sometimes when we talk about building a powerful Nigeria, we're not focusing on the very important things. It's the smallest things you take care of that will yield the big things you want. Everything starts from the bottom. If you want to carry a bucket of water, it's on the floor. You have to pick it up from the floor and then put it on your head. Everything starts from the floor. Everything that's wrong has to be, the little things that create the big havocs have to be addressed. Security is numero uno. Even people will not come to do business because they're afraid. I cannot tell you how many events I have canceled going to Nigeria because people are afraid to come because of the security, insecurity. or rather security challenges.
Yes, yes.
You see, so the trust in the government is definitely eroding. I mean, people are not believing. If you talk about the government, everybody just rolls their eyes. Because their safety and welfare is not prioritized. The ongoing instability hampers economic development, and economic development. If we don't develop economically, it increases poverty. And hopelessness, and hopelessness and poverty causes the banditry. It causes the banditry. What is all this? Sometimes people are getting kidnapped and all that stuff. It's desperation. Now, some of our leaders surround themselves with armored cars and all that kind of security sort of things, but the common man can't support himself that way.
Yes.
You see, so the insurgency in the Northeast, that has to be on the Boko Haram issue. That started in the 2000s. It's still ongoing to some degree, but it's socioeconomic grievances again, religious extremism, and,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
injustices.
The standpoint of the religious extremism, because there are different types of insecurity in Nigeria, and the ones you've highlighted are key, to national development, economic development. Without an economy, no country goes anywhere.
That's right.
Now, there are some people driven by extreme religious nationalist ideology whose mission is to violently overrun and take Nigeria. I don't know if you know about that and what the damage that they have done and are doing to our country. And they say it openly. They are not hiding it. They don't hide their faces anymore. They are dressed. They are fully geared. They are all over the country's space, and with sophisticated ammunitions and arms that the Nigerian army does not have.
Well,
Some of
I
the
suppose
regimes,
that tells you one thing very quickly, and that is
yes,
that there's influence coming outside of Nigeria.
yes,
There's foreign influence that these people are not making those guns. Do you create such guns in Nigeria?
no, absolutely not.
We don't create it in Nigeria, so somebody's giving it to them. The instability of Nigeria is critical for some individuals to take advantage of our resources. So some of those things are staged from outside, and certainly our people are being used, and even the bandits, the people who are creating the insurgency, they have to eat too. So they are bought, to do those things out of desperation too. I think that one of the greatest things that Nigeria could do is to have a national dialogue and talk to the Nigerian people. I have a friend who's the president of Nigeria Dialogue, and the idea is that people need to have buy-in in governance. You can't govern people who don't know what you're doing. The Constitution says one thing and they see something else. Most of our people don't even know what the Constitution of Nigeria is about. You know what I'm saying? If you're here in the United States and they say this amendment, that amendment, people are taught that. How many of our children know what the Constitution of Nigeria is?
Oh,
They don't know.
this is the problem.
They don't know. So they don't know what anybody's doing. Everybody's dancing to their own music. But the Constitution says one thing, and then we're doing another. So there's so much confusion. I think there's an importance of having dialogue, letting us all know what is going on. And I do believe very honestly that every region should have dialogue with its region. We should know what the Igbos are doing in Igbo land. We should know what the Yorubas want to do Yoruba land, Hausa land. They should talk to their people that speak their language, that know their culture. This is what we're going to do. Let's have buy-in. Let's talk together. Let's work together. We can build up our own states through conversation, knowing exactly what the plan is. What are we going to do? What's the problem? What's causing the problem? What's gonna solve the problem? What do we use to solve the problem? What happens if we don't solve the problem? What's the best way to solve it? How do we know we're making a headway? What's it gonna cost for us to solve this? Dialogue. We need to know. We need to know what our governors are doing. We don't know. It's important for us to have buy-in. All of us know. Look, I'm from Abia State. This is what Abia State is doing. Abia State is doing this. These are the problems that they're going to solve, and this is what's causing the problem. And we could be the cause of the problem. We need to know that so that we can stop being a part of the problem. We need to know that we can contribute. Look at what the Burkina Faso through the community.
Yes.
They paid off their deficit. I mean their debts.
Yeah, Mali did too. Mali
Mali
and
too.
Burkina Faso paid off
Okay,
their debt.
come on. And Nigeria's in debt. But we can
Oh,
do it. We can work it together. But that's
they're
what I'm
borrowing
saying.
more.
And we
They're
were
borrowing
borrowing
more.
more. But the point I'm making here is that when the citizens are not engaged, these things happen. Banditry happens. Insurgency happens. Communal conflicts happen. We're not engaged. We're all doing our own thing. A good government will make sure that people know what they're doing. Otherwise, you have chaos, ethnic tensions, resource competition, all of those things, historical grievances. Dialogue helps.
What do you think about we are going through this difficult situation?
Uh-huh.
The world is moving forward, and somebody is telling us about instituting Sharia in Yoruba
No.
land, all the
Well,
way from Sokoto. What do you think about that? I know you heard about that. I'm sure you heard about that.
the Sharia law in
Yes,
Sokoto.
Sharia law. Yes.
Okay. Well, the thing about religion is indoctrination makes the religion more important than human beings. Okay.
Hmm.
So we start looking at what the religion wants as opposed to what the people need. And it's a very difficult thing. That's why I say the most powerful tool in the hands of an oppressor is the mind of the
Mind
oppressed.
of the people. Yes,
You
yes.
see? And your oppressor doesn't have to be a person, it could be a thing. And that thing could be religion, it could be a place. So once your mind has been consumed, it's very difficult. And I speak as a person, a psychologist. It's a very difficult thing. So for what you're saying, it is because of the indoctrination that has made them believe that Sharia law is the best thing. Never mind how it impacts people. But if religion is an indoctrination, so some people adhere to what religious precepts are, and that's how they live their lives, and without shaking.
Yeah, so I saw one image that disturbed me. It happened in I think it's in Adamawa State.
Mm.
A 12-year-old boy
Mhm.
was caught stealing a cellular phone. 12-year-old,
Oh,
and then they took him to court, Sharia court, found him guilty, and chopped off his two arms. Two. Yeah, it happened just like less than 3 months ago. I featured it in news here. And some people were sending me death threats. You are not a Muslim. That is our business. We want to be governed by Sharia law. I said, no, I'm an activist. I speak for the whole of the people. I don't care what your religion is. No African tradition permits chopping off of people's hands. I was wondering which doctor did that. If it was a doctor or somebody who put a saw in a little a little boy's hands and chopped them off. A victim, for that matter, a victim that has they did not provide any source for form for him. A victim that was never sent to school. In the north, we have over 30 million of them, mostly household children out of school, in the streets of the north. And these are the people who want to lead Nigeria at all times. The
Well,
truth is,
unfortunately, that's what I'm saying. All religions
yes,
indoctrinate their people. And
yes.
once indoctrinated, they follow the law, the rules, And it takes, I don't know what it takes in that situation. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I'm not a Muslim, so I'm not quite sure exactly what all of that represents for them. You see what I'm saying? But I
Yes.
think, unfortunately, no matter what the religion, we should have a concern of humanity at the center. You know, I'm not sure what is expected of this boy now. If his hands are cut off, he can't grow up to
He can't do
feed.
anything for
He can't
himself.
do anything anymore. But I'm not
Yes.
sure what their religion tells them as that being a good way to handle such a thing. I don't know.
But I would
You
think
know,
that we are in the Federal Republic of Nigeria that has a constitution.
the
So
Constitution. There you go. There you
we are
go.
why we operating two standards.
Well, there you go. That's the thing. That it's important to read the Constitution and see what the Constitution says. Does it tolerate such a thing?
No,
What?
Nigerian
what
constitution does not tolerate that.
then you go. There you go. So you can, if the religion is what is doing that, then the Constitution should be the one that says, well, these are things that we don't accept in Nigeria. That sort of thing. But
But yes, that was just for the mention. One very important thing as a Pan Africanist, which I know you are,
mm,
from your body language and everything, spirituality and all that.
mm,
Now we've seen an Africa that was colonized 700 years by the Arabs,
yeah,
and later 400 years by
yeah,
the Europeans.
that's right.
Now, they made us these needy people. We have to always be at their mercy, begging. From what they take from us, they turn and say they are giving us aid. And now they come create wars. We destroy our infrastructure in wars, stupid wars that should not never be. And at the end, when they decide that the war is over, they move in their equipment, want to reconstruct your country, and then we pay them for reconstructing. And
Hmm.
every time now China has joined them, infrastructural building, we can build our own infrastructure. We train engineers, we
Hmm.
train scientists. We cannot fund research. We don't even have African research institutions. And at the age where we are, everything has to be done for us. Now,
Hmm.
I want to ask you a question. Why is it not we constructing roads in China? Why is it not we constructing roads in Europe? Why is it not we constructing roads in America? Why is it not we that is giving a lot to the people of the world, except raw materials that we give, but we can't build industry, and they don't want to even build industry to accommodate our teeming population that has risen as high as 1.5 billion people in Africa.
Well, sadly, we have embraced the notion that we're not good enough. All right. We say in Igbo, we talk about other people's things, but nobody knows about our own. And if they do know about our own, they make us think that it's bad. So the skills that we have, we can't use it to build ourselves up. We use it to build other people up. We have the capacity. You know that we do have the capacity, but we've been convinced that our capacity is not good enough. So we have to bring all these people that, like you said, we've got all these engineers. How come our own engineers? Because we don't support them. Our governments have to support the people that we're training. If they are not supported, then they go. Who goes out here to get these foreign people? Is it the common man that does it? It's your government. Because we don't invest in our people and we don't believe in our people. So we have to give it to somebody else. And the other part of it, of course, is the foreigners all do understand that they can bribe you to do the work for you. So you give, then you say, hey, come on in, and at the expense of your own people. We can do so much. There are some countries in Africa that have proven that we can do so much. Nigeria is a powerful nation of very, very intelligent people. Very intelligent people. There's nowhere in the world that you go today that you don't see us. We are everywhere. Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Nigerians are everywhere. Even America has acknowledged that the most educated people in the world are Nigerians. In America are Nigerians.
Yes.
So we have the capacity to do it, but we don't have the will. And we have been taught to die to go to heaven. So we don't bother with we don't bother with here. We gotta wait, until we get over there when we don't
Suffer
have to.
here. And then, but those people who tell us to suffer here are living in heaven right here.
Well, can I share a story with you that happened to me in Omar here?
Go
I don't
ahead.
want to call the church because I don't want to offend anyone.
Yes.
But I took some African Americans and we went to this big church in Omar, big church. And it was just an outstanding, just a fantastic looking building. So when we walked in and we're looking up in the ceiling, we have all these angels, all these white angels. and then we saw the devil with the white horse, the angel Gabriel standing on his head. And these African Americans were like, "What is this?" I say, "Yeah, you're welcome to Nigeria." They say, "What?" So anyway, it was a beautiful church. It is a beautiful church. It's still there. But I noticed in the corner, there were some people sitting there and there were some pastors dressed in their robes that were talking to these black people over here. So when we walked in, they didn't know, we were speaking in English and all that sort of thing. So they thought that maybe we were foreigners. So they were speaking in English and they decided to speak in Igbo. So one of the pastors said, so I said, "Oh, this is good." So I said, my husband said, "No, please don't go, just mind your business." I said, I want to go and sit there and see what they're telling these people. So I went and sat down and I said it, I said in English, greetings. And they said greetings. And they started speaking in Igbo. And they were telling these young people that it is easier for the camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to go to heaven. So they have to donate more. Young girl is crying that she makes very little and she needs the money she's making to feed the family. And they told her that, well, if she wants to go to heaven, she's going to have to donate more to the church. She sat down tearfully, because that's her church and she has to give more. So that's what they're saying to them. So I walked up to them. I said, so it shocked them, I said, let me ask these people who are sitting here a question. How many of you get money from this church in their quest to go to heaven? And nobody stood up. I said, how many of you give them money? So I said, well, if going to heaven is preferably, then you should be releasing all the funds that this church has to these people so you can get to heaven. Mm-hmm. This is how you confuse the people. You tell them not to do anything. You're telling them is they have to struggle to go to heaven, not struggle to be here. But you're here. You're taking the money they're making so you can live in your heaven here, but you want them to die and then go to the heaven. Come on, people. You know what I'm saying? So those are the kinds of things that are happening to our people. Them from seeing the capacity to do something here, right here on earth, and make their nations better, make their communities better, because everybody, sometimes 7 days a week, they're praying for magic. For all these things to happen. I am, please, let's make this clear. I am not here to bastardize anybody.
Yes.
I'm real. This is what we're experiencing. And at some point, we're going to have to be honest and let it be known that we cannot continue going in this manner. At some point, we have to redefine ourselves. Redefine what we want to see for our people. Even if we have to start from scratch, let's do that. But we cannot continue on this trajectory. That is why people insult us. That is why people do not respect us, because for you to get respect, you have to start respecting yourself first. Show what you got. Show them your medal. Then they will respect you. And so it is.
Thank you very much, listeners and viewers from Nigeria, across Africa, and around the world. Here in the United States, we've been listening to an engaging encounter with Dr. Uwa Onyioha Osimiri. Yes, the president and founder of African Women's Commission, mobilization, right? Okay, and to reach her, to know more about what she does with our group, please visit our website at www.wmcglobal.org. And another website you can of interest is www.evenergyllc.us. It's been such a wonderful moment having you here. Before you leave, I would love you to address this question. I think it's somebody who knows you. I don't know. Or maybe picking a cue from what you said. She's a Pan-African, but didn't answer the question about recognition of Black Holocaust as compulsory lessons in African schools. Yeah,
Well,
so
that's
you
what
have
I'm
something to say
saying.
about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're not, the schools need to teach that. They need to teach African history. African history also extends past our shores, because it's our people who were taken out of Africa to America and to the Caribbeans. They matter too. Our people need to know. I took some African Americans to Nigeria and made sure that they talked to the Nigerian children to tell them what African Americans had discovered, that a lot of the things that we are using that they think that were done by Europeans were done by African Americans. And I'm telling you, those rooms were so quiet, you can hear a pin drop, because a lot of these African kids didn't know this about African Americans. They didn't know about the Holocaust, the deaths of African Americans in America. They don't know that. So yes, whoever this person is, yes, I recognize that. I'm married to an African American. I know the history.
Wow.
So I know the pain. I'm connecting Africa and African Americans. That's what I do. I want that connection. I take Africans to Nigeria. I want them to see the beauty of Nigeria. That is their heritage as well. I do that. It's important to me. So yes, the Holocaust that happened to African Americans is not a joke. And our people need to know it, because a lot of people in Africa don't even know what happened to African Americans when they left the shores of Africa. So yes, that's important. It should be taught in school as well. It should definitely be taught in school as well.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Now, this question of, there's a gap between the Africans in Africa and Africans in America. That's the ones they say African American.
Mm.
For me, how I made up my mind that they are Africans, even if some of them don't agree that they are. And I think it's because of this bad blood. Two people told two different things about a people that are supposed to be the same. Now, how can we expand the scope of bridging this gap? Because we need it for the type of Africa that we dream of, the Africa of Marcus Garvey, the Africa Bob Marley sang about, the Africa of Kwame Nkrumah, Africa of Emperor Haile Selassie, and the rest of them. How can we make this pan-African, Pan-Africanism, and bridging this gap between the divides, from between the Atlantic? How can we make it work and make it, uh, take it to the level where an African American can come to Nigeria like they are going to Ghana and feel free and feel safe and feel welcome that they are in their own land?
It
And
is
then
an imperative.
we who are here, we are accepted as brothers and not as competition. What can we do to expand that scope
W-
and make it work better than we have? We are doing. You
We,
are doing a great job. A lot of us are working on it.
we have a responsibility to make it happen, because we share the same heritage.
Yes.
All right. Some of us came on slave ships. Some of us came on Air Nigeria or Delta or whatever brought us here. But we still have the same ancestry. When something happens there, you have Jewish Americans, when something happens in Israel, they fight, because they still see themselves as the same thing. When something happens in China, Chinese people here, they fight on behalf of their people. We want African Americans to see Africa as their home. It is their home. They're entitled to it. There's nothing that it takes nothing from us to be generous to the African Americans, because they didn't choose to be forced out. I mean, there's this idea that African people sold them to slavery, and whatever the reasons why they left, whoever caused it, they were taken away. But they have the right, if they want to come home, to come home. It's their ancestral land. It shouldn't be a debate. If they are willing to come home, let them come home. Give them a place to belong to. When this ground shakes, they should have somewhere to go. They should not be strangers in Africa. Because I'm going to tell you something. When I came to this country, African Americans were good to me. They were nice to me. They were curious about me. They wanted to know about Africa. Still do. Because they still feel that connection. It still runs in their veins. They still want that connection. And we need to be willing to give it to them. Those African nations that are opening themselves to African Americans are doing extremely well. Ghana, for instance. It is a good thing. It's a good thing to welcome them. We have a program called the Nwalota Project. Nigeria welcomes Africans living outside the African continent. Nwalota. We bring them home. We show them the villages. We take them to the kings. We welcome them. There's nothing better in this world, and that's what makes another human being feel good, than being welcomed by their own. Nothing beats that. We owe that to the African Americans, because Africa belongs to them as well. They did not choose to leave. For whatever reasons they were taken through slavery, either by Africans or by Europeans. They were taken away, not by their own free will. So their descendants have a right to come home.
Absolutely. Let me ask you one question. If you were, we have an unfulfilled vision yet, launched by Marcus Garvey.
Yeah.
The first set of those who fought for the decolonization of Africa had a clear vision about the establishment of a United States of Africa with one economy, without borders, with one leadership infrastructure, and with one military. We have not been able to achieve that. The set of Kwame Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, Sekou Toure, Modibo Keita, Abdel Nasser worked so hard at it until they started knocking them out one after the other. Now Africa was taken over by puppets, imperial puppets that have been reporting to Europe since then. But now we are at a point now where we are going back to that vision to actualize it. Assuming, for instance, today you happen to become the president of the United States of Africa, what would be one thing you would do? Will you open the doors for the return of African Americans, Africans all over the world back to motherlands?
Well, if you count all the Africans, not just on the motherland, but here, if all Africans were, instead of saying the United States of Africa,
yes,
but you can say United African States.
Okay.
That means wherever Africans are, they are part of Africa. Then that grows the numbers of African people, well over 1 billion. So that makes you a great people. Sure. It's not an easy task, obviously, because a lot of Africa has been divided into countries, which they're actually states, but they are divided into countries, each with their own leader. And it's not easy to give up power. You know that, And we have a lot of, it's going to take a lot of education, because we have a lot of different languages. we have different cultures. We have to work to see those as strengths, not as a reason to to not come together. That still exists. Ethnocentrism is still
Absolutely.
very, very high. So those kinds of things have to be addressed. But there are lots of
As it stands right now, it's becoming a very, very popular thing among most
what
Africans. They look like now they realize that there is a need for us to have this united Africa. I'm talking about Africa in Africa and Africa outside Africa.
yeah, the Pan-African Federalist Movement. There's an
Yes,
organization called the Pan-African Federalist Movement, and that's what they're
yes,
doing. They are
yes,
trying to see Africans come together. You coming together gives you the power and the authority to take care of yourselves, to be able to stand hand in hand and toe to toe with other people and say, we matter. We've got something to contribute. And if people
absolutely.
take from you, there's enough of you to stand on your own. We need to support such efforts, to that try to encourage Africans to come together. It didn't start today, it's been ongoing, and it's been rife with a lot of troubles, I know.
Yes,
But there are organizations that are really working towards that, and we should seek them out and support them. I support the Pan African Federalist Movement. They're doing quite a bit, trying to bring Africans together. And I'm glad to see Africa seeing the need to collaborate with the diaspora, because we're in those numbers, that gives us a whole lot more power. The numbers, over 1 billion. If you bring the diaspora and Africa together, we are up there in terms of numbers.
yeah,
We're not the minority at all.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
yes, I certainly think that it's something that should happen. When it will happen, I do not know, but I'm sure that it will happen someday, and people are working towards it, and I certainly support it.
Thank you very much. Well, it's been such a wonderful time spending with you. This was intellectually engaging and spiritually uplifting. To have somebody with this wild, well depth of knowledge, spirituality, and everything. Maybe before you leave, maybe tell us one thing about this Chiism spiritual ideology. I would love to have a little bit of an understanding of it.
Well, Chiism, first of all, it was founded by Uwa Onyioha, and that was at a time uh, was caught in a political harangue, if you will, and also when we were seeking our independence. But they also felt that it was important for us to get spiritual independence too, because therein lies our true power. Is that spiritual independence also means intellectual independence. Okay, so Chiism, or Godian religion, it means direct communication with Chineke. It is a connection that once we acknowledge that connection, then we're more apt to feel powerful. Our ancestors did not believe that God was anywhere other than where they were. Okay, and our ancestors believed in honoring our ancestors. Okay, so in Chiism we honor ancestors as a way to remember and understand that we are here because of them. So when we pray, we pour libations in honor of them. We understand Chiism as a conduit, if you will, to bring all African spirituality, and we call it an organization of traditional religions, all African religions under one umbrella, so we can see ourselves not as different entities, but as one. Because we should see ourselves first before we see religion. And when we work together, we see each other. Afrunge, I see you, you matter, Ubuntu, all of that. We don't focus on the indoctrination. We encourage people to speak up, to think straight, to think openly, to ask questions, and to honor their culture and to know that the culture that you were born in is good. There's nothing wrong with it. You can learn from it, the values come from it. So in Chiism, we investigate our culture as it pertains to anything we do. And we appreciate and we honor and we say it's okay. Now, those things that are no good, we don't practice. But those things that are good, we keep. Okay? And so we have purgative lights that we believe in, and that those say, one of them says that we believe that every human being has a right to go to Chineke, Olodumare, Tamona Jinyamikatonda. No matter what the name is, you have the right to go to God in the way you want to understand best without bitterness. Africans never fought over religion. We never fought over religion. This was introduced to us. So religion was a peaceful practice. Spirituality was peaceful. So what we're trying to do is redefine how we communicate with each other through spiritual means, or bidi can bidi. You live, I live. There's no need for us to fight. Yeah, guys, yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll be more than happy to have you here. Remember, we're going to bring you back here to teach us some more things about spirituality, about your job and what you do to uplift humanity with reference to the African humanity. I'm really humbled, having you as a guest here today, and you spoke seriously. In fact, if I could read many things that the people who are watching us have said, a lot of people complimented you for your elegance and your beauty, and how you have uh, dealt with this subject matter, in a manner that I cannot really fully express, but those are their words. Thank you very much for having the opportunity, the time, from your busy schedule to be here with us on a Sunday like this. Thank you very much, and
It's been a
look forward to
pleasure,
seeing you.
and thank you for having me. Now, thank you, the audience, for the comments, good, bad, or indifferent. I appreciate you. I'm so glad that you were able to be at attention. Thank you.
All right, so take care, and I'll talk to you offline later.
Okay. All
All
right.
right, bye for now.
Okay. Bye bye.
Yes. Right, viewers, listeners, and fans from Nigeria, across Africa, and around the world, here in the United States. This is Smart Madu Ajaja. I sincerely and deeply appreciate your presence and your beautiful comments here, and it will go a long way to helping us, advance our cause. You remember, ONN is a global movement for peace through justice and security. And if you have not subscribed, you are here for the very first time. Please, help us, grow. And the reason we always make this passionate appeal is that we want to grow organically. We don't want to buy. We don't buy subscribers. Even if you don't agree with us, we want you here so we can have a balanced engagement every time we come on stream. I don't know how best to express our sincere thanks to you, for taking this more than 2 hours to be with us here. It's highly appreciated. And those of you who want to go a step deeper by becoming members, join us and support us, because we do a lot, especially in Nigeria and Africa, and we are expanding our scope to helping people get the understanding we need to build a strong and beautiful world where no man shall be oppressed. Thank you, and always come back to uh, to be part of our stream, and take time too to watch what we have done before now, and to see many insightful things that could perhaps benefit you and deepen your understanding of what we represent for humanity. Bye for now, and I love you, and look forward to seeing you in our next stream. Thank you, and I appreciate you. You're great. You're great. He said, okay, somebody said, indeed, spirituality, religion is one of the pillars of nation formation. All right, that's fine. And African Americans should recognize themselves as African, which a lot do not do. Yeah, this is a very powerful statement, really, truly. Powerful convo. Need more of this. Salute, Dr. O. Thank you very much for that. Dilly OC. Thank you. I hope you took time to subscribe. Paul Smith. We want to hear your perspective always. Be part. Make ONN a place of interest. Whenever you want to do anything on YouTube, and help share our message. Any message that you listen to that interests you, pass it on. And we want to be able to become the voice we truly want to be for Nigeria, Africa, and the world. Just as our name suggests. Because we are a voice. We cannot be that voice without you. So that is why we passionately, ask that you always, support us, share our message, comment. Even if you do not disagree with us, put your disagreement forward. We can talk about it. Maybe perhaps reach an understanding. So that is why engaging one another is most important. All right. I wish I could stay all day doing this. I would, but I got to run and do a few things for myself on a Sunday and be with family. I love you guys and look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.